My fiancé invited my estranged family to our wedding behind my back. So I ended things. I'm 30. I had bad childhood memories. The day my father died, I lost more than just a parent. I lost my protector, my champion, and ultimately, my place in my own family. I was only 10 when it happened, but I still remember how his warm smile could light up any room. He wasn't perfect. No one is, but he loved me unconditionally. That's something I wouldn't experience again for a very long time. Dad left us well provided for. The inheritance wasn't enough to make us wealthy, but it ensured my mom and I would never struggle. Looking back now, I wonder if that money was both a blessing and a curse. It kept us comfortable, but it also made me a target in my own home. 2 years after Dad passed, Mom married Jack. He was her coworker, a man with a daughter named Jill, who was about my age. I tried to be optimistic at first. Maybe I'd get a sister. Maybe we'd become a happy blended family, like the ones I saw on TV. But Jack shattered those dreams pretty quickly. From day one, Jack made it clear that I was unwanted baggage in his new life. He didn't even try to hide his contempt. "You should send the boy to boarding school," he'd tell my mom when he thought I couldn't hear. If it weren't for his father's money, he wouldn't even be in this house. The worst part wasn't his words. It was how my mom would just stand there, silent, letting his poison seep into our home. Jill became the princess of the castle while I became its servant. I did all the housework, dishes, laundry, cleaning, while Jill spent her weekends at the mall with Mom's credit card. Every time I complained about the unfairness, Jack would fabricate some new accusation about me. "I saw Harry trying to hurt Jill again," he'd say, his face a mask of false concern. "He's dangerous. We need to protect her." And my mom, the woman who once kissed my scraped knees and chased away monsters under my bed, would believe him every single time. "If you ever hurt Jill," she'd threaten, "you'll be out on the street. This house doesn't tolerate abuse." The irony of her words was lost on her. She couldn't see the emotional abuse happening right under her nose. Thank God for Aunt Sarah, my dad's sister. She was my lifeline during those dark years. Her home became my sanctuary, the only place where I could truly be myself. She and Uncle Tom never forgot my birthday, always made sure I had presents at Christmas, celebrated my achievements no matter how small. Mom would make excuses not to show up to these celebrations, but I learned to stop expecting her presence in my life. The breaking point came on Christmas Day, 15 years ago. I was decorating the tree with Jill, one of the few activities we were forced to do together, when suddenly, she let out a blood-curdling scream. "Please don't hit me," she cried out. "I'll give you my presents." Before I could even process what was happening, Jack and my mom burst into the room. Jack didn't hesitate. His hand connected with my face so hard, I saw stars. As I staggered backward, my mom's words cut deeper than any physical blow could. "Get out," she screamed. "Get out of my house." Through my tears, I caught sight of Jill's triumphant smirk. Later, she texted me, "Best Christmas present ever, watching you get kicked out." I called Aunt Sarah, sobbing, and she came to get me immediately. That was the last time I set foot in that house. Life with Aunt Sarah and Uncle Tom was different. They became the parents I needed, and their love helped heal some of the wounds my mom and Jack had inflicted. I worked hard in school, got into Yale, and started building a life for myself. That's where I met Millie. She seemed perfect at first. Kind, sweet, understanding. When I told her about my past, she held me and promised she'd never hurt me like that. I thought I'd finally found someone who could help heal my abandoned childhood. I was wrong. As we planned our wedding, Millie started pushing me to invite my family. "This is the perfect time to mend those relationships," she'd say. "It's embarrassing to only have your aunt and uncle on your side." I tried to explain why that was impossible, but she wouldn't listen. When I finally gave in and called my mom, her response was predictable. She'd only come if I invited Jack and Jill, and only after I apologized to them for my behavior in the past. The conversation ended with me realizing nothing had changed. They were still the same toxic people who'd thrown me out on Christmas Day. The fight with Millie that followed should have been my wake-up call. She called me ungrateful, said I was being dramatic, but it wasn't until I saw her having coffee with my mom that everything fell into place. They'd been meeting behind my back for months. My mom had been feeding Millie her version of events, painting Jack as a loving father figure, me as an ungrateful child who played the victim, and my aunt as a manipulative woman who'd stolen me from my real family. And Millie, the woman I thought I could trust with my heart, believed every word. I confronted her that night. "Ask her why I never had a birthday party growing up," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "Ask her why there were never any presents under the tree for me. Ask Jack if he even knows when my birthday is, since he was such a loving father. Ask her why my aunt had to pick me up every Christmas Eve." Millie's response told me everything I needed to know about our relationship. "You always push everyone away," she said through tears. "You make yourself the victim. You just love to make a big deal out of everything." I ended our engagement that night, packed my bags and went to my aunt's house, just like I had all those years ago. Millie followed me there, still trying to convince me I was wrong. "You just proved your mom's point," she spat. "Go run to your aunt, let that old witch run your life." Those words were the final nail in the coffin of our relationship. I blocked her on everything, cut all contact. When I posted about my childhood experiences on social media, people were sympathetic, but they couldn't truly understand. How could they? Unless you've experienced that kind of betrayal from the people who should love you most, it's impossible to comprehend. Now I live in peace with my aunt in another state, far from my mom's influence. Looking back, I've learned that sometimes you have to trust your instincts. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Trust isn't just important in relationships, it's the foundation they're built on. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Millie had chosen to believe me, if she'd stood by my side instead of betraying my trust. We might have had our dream wedding, might have built a life together. But then I remember that true love doesn't require you to prove your trauma is real. It doesn't ask you to forgive the unforgivable or pretend the past didn't happen. My aunt taught me what real love looks like. It's consistent, unconditional, and most importantly, it believes you. It doesn't gaslight you or make excuses for abuse. It stands with you, even when standing with you means standing against everyone else. I may have lost my blood family and a fiancé, but I gained something more valuable: self-respect and peace. Sometimes the family you choose is more real than the family you're born into. Sometimes the hardest decisions, walking away from toxic people, even when they're family, are the ones that save your life. These days I focus on building a life that would make my dad proud. I honor his memory not by forcing relationships with people who hurt me, but by choosing to surround myself with people who love me for who I am. That's the kind of legacy worth preserving. When people ask me if I regret canceling my wedding, I tell them the truth. I regret not doing it sooner. I regret not trusting my gut when Millie first suggested inviting my family. But I don't regret choosing myself, choosing truth, choosing peace. Some prices are worth paying, and sometimes the costliest decision in the moment saves you from a lifetime of pain. My story isn't just about family trauma or a failed engagement. It's about learning to trust yourself when the world tries to convince you that your reality isn't real. It's about understanding that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away. And most importantly, it's about recognizing that healing doesn't always look the way other people think it should. I may not have the big family gatherings some people dream of, or the picture-perfect wedding I once planned. But I have peace. I have truth. I have love. Real love. Not the conditional kind that requires you to deny your own experiences. And in the end, that's worth more than any wedding or family reunion could ever be. Some people might read this and think I'm bitter, that I need to forgive and forget. But I've learned that forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation, and healing doesn't require pretending the past didn't happen. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is acknowledge your truth and live it, even when others try to convince you it isn't real. My aunt always tells me that the truth has a way of setting you free, even when it hurts at first. She's right. Every day I wake up grateful for the family I chose, for the peace I've found, and for the strength I discovered in myself. That's a kind of freedom no amount of family pretense could ever provide.